Hello and welcome to the Boys in the Bus podcast. This is your bus home from Celtic to Falkirk now. I'm your host, Terry. I'm joined by the gaffer, Phil McGinley. We are a little bit later than usual. I had a 2-year-old's birthday party to attend. And yeah, we're here to talk over the Celtic game today, the movements in the transfer market, look ahead to Aberdeen on Wednesday night, and just basically see where we're at. Overall, are we still in a title race? What are we looking like in terms of squad for the last 3 or 4 months of the season? And I'm going to cover all of that with you, Phil. How are you?
I am absolutely great, mate. Thoroughly enjoyed that game today. Looking forward to having a wee chat about it. And a good atmosphere. Obviously, that's doing the rounds tonight over social media. Some videos of quite a rousing rendition of Stand Up If You Hate the Board, and it was quite unanimous. The verdict is in. You know, a good 95%, I would say, of the crowd in attendance were definitely standing up and making their voices heard. So, yeah, looking forward to getting to talk about all that as well. And I'm just happy to be here, mate.
Phil, just around that, what was it like today? What was it like in terms of crowd and overall atmosphere, attendance-wise? What was that like?
It was good because Green Brigade were in. They did one of their things that I mentioned Friday night with Liam, where they got in by other means. They were next to Bhoys Celtic in the southwest corner. There's been a few home games in recent weeks now that they've done that, and I'm sure the board were thrilled at that one. But yeah, the atmosphere was good, and the chants were getting led pretty boisterously from that corner today. And as I say, they managed to get majority of the stadium standing up and making their voices heard, including myself. So it was a good atmosphere compared to Thursday night, which was like a morgue, world of difference. And right now, given that we're in a hell of a scrap, a title fight, we need all the weapons we can get. And to get Celtic Park loud again, it's a no-brainer. They have to end the bans. The tifo that was on display today, I don't know if you've seen that yet. It was themed around the Traitors, the BBC show.
Yeah.
Yep. End the ban, banish the Traitors. And it was Nicholson, Mackay, and this head of security, Hargreaves, whatever his name is. It was a good tifo. So yeah, the message is very, very clear. And it's like didn't Brian Wilson, the interim chairman, talk about unity is the key? Well, since he's became interim chairman, it's been anything but unity, mate.
Yes. As we always say, if you enjoy the show, give us a like, give us a share, subscribe, all that jazz. You can be a member for $1.99 a month. Gets you nothing extra. You get a little scarf beside your name, and it helps us keep diesel in the old bus. If you're new to the channel and you're in for really good technical analysis, really good insight, all that jazz, wrong show for you. If you love listening to the shite from me, it's the place to be. I'm not as polished as Paul John. I'm not as refined as Ryan. I'm not as talented as Tino, and I'm not as quintessential as Quinny, but I can talk shite. And if you're happy to listen to me, hit the like, hit the subscribe, do all that jazz, and keep us in your life that wee bit longer, as Phil says. Phil, total disclosure here. I had a bit of a restricted view ticket today. Make of that what you will. I'm going to have to maybe inquire about getting a little bit of help to watch the home games. Seem to be a bit of a problem for me. I've seen it all. I've seen all the important stuff. It was just a little bit bitsy PC kind of thing. I'll kind of summarize it just from where I feel. I feel it was reasonably routine, solid enough. Not really anything too hairy scary. A couple of saves from Schmeichel, but pretty comfortable, pretty routine home performance. Nothing too flashy, nothing to get overexcited about. Just a solid job done. 2-0 victory. We move on and we reduce this to a 14-game league campaign. Have I missed an awful lot?
Not massively. I think you're kind of bang on the money there. I mean, got to give Falkirk some credit as well, and they have been getting a lot of plaudits this season, deservedly so, after a pretty bad start. And most people say, they're doomed. They've obviously bedded in really well, and I felt the opening segment of the game, they weren't sitting back. They weren't doing the usual 10 men behind the ball. They came and had a go, and it was actually quite refreshing. I mean, I know it's obviously heart in the mouth stuff for the way that we are right now, but it is, it's good to see a team. They obviously sense blood. Celtic have not exactly been very polished this season. So yeah, the first the opening parts of the game was definitely Falkirk sort of pinning us in a wee bit, getting balls into the box. Just we didn't really create anything at all in that sort of first minutes. Compared to Thursday night, we were 3-0 up inside 20 minutes. But today, I remember my mate at one point quite early on, I was like, we've barely been out our own half. So Falkirk did come and have a goal, but I think once we got that first goal, obviously deflated them a wee bit because they put quite a bit in. But I thought the early part of the second half, they had us on the ropes for spells in the second half. Until we got the second goal. I do think that, we took control of the game and I felt it sort of stabilised, but it was a bit shaky early in the second half till Benjamin Nygren's goal. So, but I say that's the first thing I point out is I feel pretty Falkirk. They came and gave it a go. They are because in my mind I thought, well, Falkirk, on their own patch they're going to be dangerous and they're going to be a decent team, but no, they obviously just came with no fear at all and gave it their best shot. So plaudits to them, but they made that a test for us, but we rose to the occasion.
Yeah, they're one of those sides, Phil. We constantly give them plaudits, and rightly so, but we still seem to get the job done against them. It was one of those ones today. I didn't expect it to be a stroll in the park. They are a good side. They're very, very well managed. They seem to be a good bunch of players who get the absolute maximum out of each other. Look at Calvin Miller, and he sticks out because of the fact that he came through the system at Celtic. And say if you were watching and you were looking for players in the SPL who really stood out against you, if you were looking for a left back or a left-sided player, Calvin Miller, for me, in the games that he's played against us, been really, really good. So yeah, fair play to Falkirk. See a few comments in the chat there around the old dry January. So dry January is officially over. I'll tell you what, yesterday was tough. Yesterday was the hardest day. Yesterday and the Rangers game were the two hard days. The Rangers game was hard because I just wanted the whole day to just swallow me up and disappear. But yesterday was really hard because I knew I was so close to getting a pint. I just had to let it go for one more day. But see, to be honest, I wasn't at the bar for 12:30 for opening. I was there for 1 o'clock. I didn't want to be too ignorant. But see, to be honest, it was a bit of a disappointment. I had this whole thing built up. The first pint would be absolutely amazing, and it was a bit of a letdown. And you know what? I'm thinking I might go off again for February. It's not always cracked up to be. Do you know what I mean? I think it's like everything in life. The anticipation of something, it's a bit of a letdown once you actually get it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But February is the shortest month of the year, so it's not going to be much of a challenge.
It's the best one for payday at work. It's the shortest. It's the shortest journey from one payday to the next at work. But anyway, it's also the day where we move into the last day of the January transfer window. Today's day 32 of the window. Tomorrow is day 33 and the final day. And we'll have a wee chat, Phil, after we do the stuff about the game. Around what we think is going to happen, but have we got a show tomorrow night?
Possibly, yeah. Me and David Logue have tended to do deadline day shows, which usually have resulted in being a damp squib. We did them previously on the Bhoys bus, and we've done it here. And it's usually an uneventful night. But going by the news stories and going by what Martin O'Neill said, there looks like there's going to be some action. I say it tentatively though, because this is Celtic we're talking about. Things can change at the drop of a hat, but I'll gauge it with Mr. Logue and see if he fancies it. The late shift tomorrow night, and we'll wait and see. We'll play it by ear at the moment.
So Scotland's 11 o'clock, isn't that right?
11 o'clock for us tomorrow night. England is 7 o'clock. They close at we're 11.
Is there significance in that, Phil? Do you think there is some kind of opportunity there for Celtic? Or we're not fishing in that pond where we could get something between the 7 o'clock closing in England and the 11 o'clock in Scotland? It doesn't feel to me like somewhere we're going to be doing anything.
Yeah, it's there is opportunity there for any other team, but this is Celtic. 4 hours isn't enough. We need 4 weeks to just get these deals over the line, sadly. Because it would make all the sense in the world, but sadly that's the problem, Terry. Too many fans like you and I and pretty much everyone else watching, we think with too much sense, too much logic applied there. You'd be like, yeah, it's an advantage to us that these teams just down the road, they've got this 4 hour, they jump on us and we've got that extra time. And we don't make the most of it. We could have done it back in the summer as well. It's the same scenario. But now all the links that are going round at the moment, there's nothing in terms of teams from the English Premier League. Because once again, Premier League teams have to register their 25-man squad for the second half of the season. So there's going to be guys that aren't going to make the cut. So yeah, there will be guys that will be cast aside for the second half of the season down in England. But none of the rumours right now are of any names there. Who knows? We have to believe that they're working hard behind the scenes, Terry. The old Mick Nick, he's on that phone right now. He's going off the hook.
There's also that complication, Phil, that if you want to get a deal done for anyone who's any use, you have to part with money. And
yes.
That just doesn't align to the model that has served us so well, according to the guys. Anyway, let's cover off the match in all its glory. Team lineup today. Let's get it up there. Look at Dyson. Look how happy he looks to be at Celtic Football Club. Look at that for a smile, huh? Kasper Schmeichel in goal. Araujo comes in for Donovan. If you're looking from Thursday night's lineup, Araujo has been very, very solid for us. We'll have a wee chat, Phil, once we cover the game off just around him. I can't believe I'm saying this. Dane Murray is in the Celtic lineup again, alongside Liam Scales, Kieran Tierney. Still no sign of Sriracha. He's not on the bench there.
No, he's not.
The old eyesight's bad. He's not there. McGregor, Engels, Nygren, which I think pretty much picks itself at the moment. McGregor and Engels have been a constant pretty much under Martin O'Neill, and Nygren with his goal threat at the moment is a better option than McCowan's Industry with very little in terms of productivity, and Tannadice recklessness in terms of distribution. Yang on the right, because we've nobody else except James Forrest. Maida on the left, and Vanchara through the middle, which I expected to come in. And he gets his first goal for Celtic, which is also a really positive landmark. Good to get him off and running within 2 games. In terms of lineup, Phil, any surprises? Any thoughts?
No surprises at all. In terms of thoughts, obviously Dane Murray stood out, but we all knew that was going to happen. And again, it just begs the question.
I didn't. I genuinely thought it would be Welsh.
Do you think so? See, after last week with the Hearts game and Welsh not even featuring and Murray having to come off the bench, to me it was just like, it's going to be Dane Murray. And we will obviously talk about some stuff during the day, but I thought he looked like the ball was a hot potato to him today. Like, he didn't know what he wanted to do. He was looking clumsy, nervous. I mean, maybe that game at Tynecastle in the season just spooked him now and he just cannot settle. But yeah, he looked shaky today. And again, I personally, if I had a choice, obviously it would have been Welsh. That would be the logical choice there if I've got to pick between one or the other. I'm not a fan of either of them, but it makes more sense. Stevie Welsh has been playing for half a season. He's match fit. He's been playing well down at Murrow. So it's like, yeah, get him in. We brought him back for a reason, but he came back to be cover to Dane Murray. We were told he was coming back to be cover for the injury to obviously Carter Vickers, and in this case, Trusty's got a suspension. But no, he's now cover for the cover. Like, honestly, make it make sense, Terry.
Phil, it makes no sense to me. I shared the graphic there now. He looks amazing. His tan. But look at the stature of him. Look how broad his shoulders are. He's a man mountain. He went away on a loan spell down to the Scottish Championship as a boy. He came back built like a man. Look at the presence of him there. But see, on the park, he is the most unopposed. He's not imposing looking. Honestly, I can't get out of my head. Obviously, I'm still struggling with his last performance against Hearts at Tynecastle when he just completely self-destructed. But see, when he came on last week, I mean, all he had to do was see out. Well, as Martin said, he had to see out 13 minutes of normal time and about 35 minutes of added time. But he couldn't even do that. Like, honestly, see that? I've been playing it over my head. That Gary Owen, where he was right beside the touchline. He's trying to clear it out for a throw-in, and he ends up kicking it towards his own net. There was snow on it. There was snow coming down in the ball. It was that high. And I just don't understand, right? Stephen Welsh is not the answer, right?
No.
But Dane Murray, like, haven't played today. That's probably his 12th appearance for Celtic all told. I mean, the day of his disaster against Hearts was his 9th appearance in 4 years. I remember that because it was just something that was just right there in front of you. The guy that's absolutely messed it up for you today, that's his 9th appearance in 4 years. And most of those appearances that he's made, if you look back at them, they've been defensive catastrophes and really, really bad results. And he's had a couple of games in between, but that's probably him only a dozen games. Stephen Welsh has been playing in the SPL for a good 6 years now, and he's got a lot more appearances under his belt for Celtic. He seems to be the much more secure option. He's got a bit of football in him. He can get the ball down and show a bit of composure and make a pass here and there. Murray just looks like Bambi on ice. He just looks completely uncomfortable, really, really awkward. I just don't understand. I don't understand. Murray was Brendan Rodgers' choice, and it now seems he's Martin O'Neill's choice, albeit Stephen Welsh was already out on loan when Martin O'Neill came in, and there might be a plan for Stephen Welsh that sees him leave Celtic again tomorrow, and that might play into the decision in some way. I think it probably does, but I don't think we're in a position where we can worry about tomorrow. We have to worry about today. And if I'm picking that team, I'm going to pick the one that gives Celtic the absolute best chance of winning the game. And for me, under no circumstances does that mean Dane Murray plays. And I hate being hard on any. I'm going to say a young lad. He's not a young lad anymore. He's not a kid. A young lad's somebody that's aged 16 or 17. This guy's long past that. I'm sorry, son. It's time to move on and either play down the lower leagues or go and get yourself a trade or something.
I mean, do I want to give them the benefit of the doubt here that there might be some method in their madness with Stevie Welsh's checkered injury history? Because remember, whenever he has had a sort of new lease of life at Celtic over the last few years, he always seems to go down with like a shoulder injury or something. Remember, he had a great game in a Champions League game against Feyenoord and Brendan Rodgers' first season back, and he went off injured in that. I'm pretty sure it was the Rangers game around about that time. He went off injured. He was having a good game. So maybe they've still got this idea that he's going to move on. Now, the only place he can go tomorrow is Motherwell, because he can only play for them or us for the rest of the season due to FIFA's rules about you can only play for 2 teams in a season. So unless it's like a case of he has got a bit of a checkered past with injuries, we need to just protect him just in case, and that's why they've kept him away. But then again, am I giving them too much benefit of the doubt here? Am I giving them too much credit for thinking big on that one? Because Murray is a dangerous player for different reasons, in the sense that he can easily cost us a game, as we've seen already this season, Terry.
Phil, keep me right here. Is the rule in a season or a calendar year?
It's in a season. I believed it was a calendar year, but apparently it can have a loophole if it's a player. Now you get some seasons around the continent that are like March to November, and ours is obviously August to May. If you get a player in that scenario where they've came for a league that does a March to November schedule and they go to one that's August to May, they're allowed to play for 3 teams in a season because the seasons don't run in sync with each other. But in this case with Murray, with Welsh, it's very much a case of, well, it's the same. It's literally the same league they're playing in. So it's 2 teams in a season, and he would be affected by that. So he can literally only play for us for the rest of the season, or Motherwell. It's one or the other. Motherwell on Friday, the manager did a press conference. He says they're looking at adding our centre-back before the end of the window. And Welsh is one of the players that he was asked about. And he says he's definitely on our list of targets. And I asked that to Liam on Friday night. I says, surely if you're Celtic, and I know this is a tricky one for Michael Nicholson, right? But surely if you're Celtic, you pick up the phone at that point, you pick up that mobile phone, and you get on the blower to Motherwell, and you get talking about Maswinisi. Because I was almost like Motherwell were just putting it out there, like a come and get him plea or something like that. Because it's like, well, they've named him. He's actually been asked about Welsh, and he said, yeah, he's on our list of targets, and we're definitely needing a centre-back. So it's like, are they putting the bait out there? But again, no movement on that. It seems like there's nothing happened to that one, and it feels like an open goal, Terry. It really does.
Yeah, I feel, Phil, that whole January, I think it was the 14th date, that was all to give Motherwell an opportunity to get somebody else in. They haven't, to the best of my knowledge, gone and got somebody else in. It feels to me, I'd be very surprised if Stephen Welsh isn't back at Motherwell by 11 o'clock tomorrow night. Now, whether that means we get the prize asset from Motherwell or not, I'm not convinced about that, because that's too simple an equation. It's too obvious an equation. It makes too much sense for Celtic to go and get that player. We would rather go and get a couple of players who don't score goals, don't get assists, don't get involved in any play. We would rather go and get them than go and get somebody who's on your doorstep, who's scoring every single week, who doesn't have to adjust to where he's living. He doesn't have to move. He can live in the same place. He can come and play for us, live in the same place that he's at now. Doesn't have to acclimatise, doesn't have to adjust to the league, just has to go from one jersey to another and keep sticking the ball in the back of the net. Why would you do that? No, of course not. Makes far too much sense. Not at all. But Stephen Welsh, gut feel is he'll not be at Celtic tomorrow night. That obviously means we would need to be bringing in a centre-back, because we cannot run with Trusty Scales and Dane Murray. We can't run with Trusty Scales, Dane Murray and Stephen Welsh. We just can't. And see in any sort of normal circumstances, Trusty and Scales would be your backup. They're backup centre-backs for Celtic. They're not first-choice Celtic players. And see the rumours that came in this morning around teams coming in for Trusty. See, in a normal set of circumstances, I'd say punt him. They're coming in on the basis of two good performances in backs-to-the-wall games against Bologna and Atalanta. That's where the interest in Trusty's coming from, the two Italian teams. I would say in any normal circumstance, punt him. Because in the normal rough and tumble of the SPL, in the games where we're dominant in possession and we need our centre halves to be more than just backs to the wall penalty box defenders, he comes up wanting. But we just can't afford. We can't afford to. That's a deal we can't afford to cash in on. Even if one of those teams, I think it was Lazio and who was the other one? I can't remember. Lazio and somebody else in Italy, and they've registered an interest. Like, see. It's not beyond the realms of possibility. Them teams could come in with 10-12 million bid tomorrow. And I would say that's take that for us and Trusty, but we can't, because we absolutely can't, just in terms of numbers. And that's where we're at. Trusty and Scales should be your backup. And if we had a proper defence, Carter Vickers and another, then Trusty and Scales would be your backup. And they're more than decent backup. But they cannot be your first choice players that you're relying on week in, week out to get the job done. Anyway, back to the game. As I said, my view was restricted for a lot of it, but we took the lead, Phil, around about 35, 36 minutes in. At that stage, I think Casper had made a save. Dickinson was giving free kicks here and there, and Dickinson is my least favourite out of them all. And I talked the other night.
Was it him? It was the referee, or was it that Matthew McDermott? Because I couldn't recognise. There's a few referees that if I see them, I know who they are right away. But there's these ones that are nondescript. I think it was Matthew McDermott. I think.
Well, then I'm wrong. I thought I had read it that it was.
But the referee was terrible. He was stopping a lot of the play early. It might have been Dickinson. It might have been. I mean, sad. There's a load of them. If you put them in a lineup in front of me, I would know who they are. Oh, it was. Condor's saying it was Dickinson today. It was. Right, okay. It was.
Was it? Because I looked at it during the week, and what it said on Thursday night was we got McLean and Beaton last week against Hearts, and today we got Dickinson and Dallas. That was my understanding of the situation. And my wee line that I was going with on Thursday night was they were just going all out for these two games to get us with those four. I mean, the thing about VAR is, and this is a completely different conversation and not for today, but see when you've got referees with allegiances, which we just don't seem to be able to stamp out in Scotland at all, you now don't just have to get past one, you have to get past two. Because if the first one doesn't give it, you can rest assured the second one's going to give it. And I'm only going to touch on this for a couple of seconds because I've still been really struggling with last week's red card for Trusty. I'm not struggling with the fact whether it was a yellow or whether it was a red, because I can accept either outcome. I can accept either outcome if Stephen McLean gives it. because he's the guy on the pitch. He's the guy right there in the action, and he's the guy that's made the call. The bit that I can't accept is that the decision gets re-refereed by someone else sitting in the back of a van who wants to get involved in the game. That's the bit that I don't accept. If McLean gives it a red, I'll take that. I'll take it because it's subjective. He's there. He's made the call. But what I can't accept is the guy in the van re-refereeing the game, because that is not what's supposed to happen, and that is what seems to happen in Scottish football week in, week out. Not just against Celtic, not just for Hearts, not just for Rangers. It's week in, week out. The guy in the van is getting involved in things that are absolutely nothing to do with his business whatsoever. That's me done on last week, but today with Dickinson, and he's a particular bugbear for me. I just don't like him. I just think he's too obvious. His allegiances are obvious. It stinks out of him.
Yep.
I don't like him. I just don't like him. I think he's too obvious. I think he doesn't even try to hide what he's at. But anyway, the whole point of that is he gave a foul against McGregor, and I didn't think it was a free kick. But anyway,
in the early stages of the game in particular, he was doing everything to slow momentum down. A lot of silly decisions just to delay the play. Even when he was giving his free kicks, it was like, we'll try to take a quick one. Granted, we very rarely profit from a quick free kick, but he was still stopping us at all costs. Just the really pointless stuff. And yeah, you could just tell that. He was just disrupting the play, just trying to get us no flow at all, and he was frustrating, really was.
And do you know what, Phil? I try so hard not to go down this rabbit hole of referees, and even with Beaton, I've gave him a lot of leverage, and I've given him credit because there's been some big decisions where Beaton's he's not gone the way that I expected him to go. But see, Dickinson, I've never actually seen Dickinson give a decision that I didn't expect him to give against us or for anyone else. He just seems to be so blatant. But anyway, out of the way, we took the lead. Cross from Kieran Tierney. I thought it was an excellent header from Tomas Svanchara. Gets off the mark. First goal for Celtic. Hopefully the first of many. Really, really good finish, I have to say. And much as his signing didn't excite me, he's done okay. He's not been too bad.
Yeah, so he has 2 goal involvements in 2 games, an assist last week and a goal today. Both games I felt he was pretty quiet as well up until, he actually, he obviously involved in a goal. But yeah, today, how refreshing, a cross into the box and a header. Something we don't do too much. It's just a lot of passing sideways most of the time. But no, another assist for Kieran Tierney as well, somebody who I think has had a lot of unfair criticism this season. I think other than his fitness issues, I don't think he's been terrible in terms of his output. Keep in mind he is a defender first and foremost, but I think he's up to about 6 assists now, 6 or 7 assists and 4 goals, which given, as I say, he's a defender first and foremost, that's not too bad. But yeah, I feel like the criticism to Tierney, and I get a lot of fans, they remember Kieran Tierney the first time around and what we got with him there, but obviously it's many years down the line. Injuries have obviously caught up to him as well. He has obviously got fitness issues, but he's working through that as best he can. And yeah, he gets another assist today, another great cross. He's also began taking some set pieces as well, which have benefited us too. And it's a great ball into the box. And Vanchara, we glancing header, took his time to get into the net, mind you, because from where I sit down at the bottom Jock Stein stand, looking down to that end, it hits one post and goes along the line pretty much before it eventually settles. Because at first you're worried that with the way the game's went up to now, we're not doing anything, it's going to hit the post and come back out, or Bain's just going to scoop it up. But no, it found the back of the net, and it's a welcome change to have a target man forward in there, somebody who we can put these types of crosses in and benefit from it.
We're in at half-time, Phil. 1-0 to the good. Very start of the second half. Calvin Miller does Dane Murray and has an effort and goal, which goes just wide. But the game was kind of finished on just after the hour mark. Benjamin Nygren with, would you believe, his 15th goal of the season. 15, that's excellent numbers at this stage. I mean, if you think back to last year, the way people were talking about Nicholas Kuhn and Dyson Maida numbers, and think about the amount of ridicule and criticism that Benjamin Nygren has come in for, and rightly so for a lot of it, because he's anonymous for so much of the game.
Yep.
But you cannot ignore these numbers. And an excellent finish, a really, really good finish. Again, it was like one of the goals he scored maybe about 6 or 8 weeks ago, where he curled it into the top corner as well.
Yeah, the atmosphere in the stadium when that ball hit the net as well, it was proper loud. I felt, maybe just because recently it's been very, a lot of apathy around, but because we were under a lot of pressure in the second half there, and obviously at that point in time, at half time, we got the update as well that Rangers had drawn 0-0. So I guess there was an added pressure through the stadium where it's like, right, they've dropped points, now we need to get it done. I say that first 15 minutes or so in the second half, Falkirk had us rattled. So when that ball did hit the net, it did feel like a real release, but it was some finish. And here's a question for you, and something this is that Liam brought up on Friday night, talking about Nygren, and you're right, how polarising he is and how anonymous he can be at times during the game. And what Liam said on Friday night was everything he does outside the box seems to be not particularly good, is a polite way of putting it. But in the box, he's obviously lethal. Is he actually a midfielder when you think about it, or should he maybe be converted or deployed as some kind of auxiliary striker? Because in the box, there's no arguing about it. He's lethal. He knows where the back of the net is. But yeah, usually his play outside the box and build-up play is where things fall apart for Nygren. But you can't argue with his output in terms of goals, because take those goals away, Terry. Where are we this season without them? That's how many did you say it was? 16, 15, 16?
I think, Phil, I was just checking the stats there, and they were before today's game, and they said 14 goals and 4 assists. So today's takes him to 15 goals and 4 assists. Something in and around 20 goal involvements, and we're just into the start of February. So if you run rate that to the end of the season, that's probably going to be about 32, 33, 34 goal involvements. That's serious. That's the kind of, that's Nicholas Kuhn 17, 18 million transfer next summer, which I don't think will happen. I don't see Nygren getting a move like that. I don't think he's mobile enough. I don't think he's got the explosive pace that Nicholas Kuhn had. Yeah. But what a weapon for us. If you've got somebody that's giving you 30, 32 goal involvements in a season, that's, it's one every 2 games at worst. It's better than one every 2 when you take all European cups, take everything in. It's better than 1 goal involvement in every 2, and that's pretty decent for a guy that came in for under 2 million.
Oh, fair shadow down. I'd say you take those goals away from our season, and it's a scary and sobering thought of where we'd be sitting right now without it, because he's been the decider in some of these stodgy games that we've had. Just Falkirk a couple of weeks ago, through there, it was his goal that we got us over the line there. So he's as polarising as he can be. Yeah, the numbers don't lie, but I say maybe the future for him is maybe being more advanced and being an auxiliary forward, because that's the thing that makes him so polarising. It's in the build-up play, misplaced passes. He tries wee fancy flicks at times when it's like totally unnecessary. The game's still in a balance, and he's going for wee back heel passes and whatnot. It's like, don't do that. Calm down. We've got a game to win here. This isn't the time for showboating. But saying when it comes to putting it in the net, you can't argue, and he's well on course to being our top scorer and probably our player of the season. When it gets to that time where it's time to hand out the awards for the player of the season for Celtic, he is the outstanding candidate right now.
It's a hard one to argue. Now, come back to your question about centre forward. I don't see it. I think Wilfred Nancy considered it and gave him a bit of time there. I think Martin O'Neill has also tried it for a period of time. It's also something that I considered as possibly an option, but just based on, albeit a small sample size, I don't see it. I think his skill is coming from deep and timing it, that he gets into the box and he gets into the space. That's totally different from you being the focal point, from you being the striker, and you being the one that's up there expected to get on the end of things. I think it's a skill, and there's not an awful lot of players, albeit for me, footballers are much of a muchness. There's very, very little difference between, I've said this a few times, like a footballer at 20 million and a footballer at 15 and a footballer at 10. You're only talking a few percent difference and small differentials, but there's not an awful lot of players who've got the in-game intelligence to come from midfield and keep finding the right place time after time after time after time. I'm not comparing him, but if you think about Frank Lampard playing centre midfield, Frank Lampard
didn't have an awful lot.
He did not have an awful lot about his game. If I asked you what was Frank Lampard's key attributes, he didn't have pace. I've never seen Frank Lampard dribbling past a player. His passing was average. He had nothing except he had a magnificent knack of arriving in the right place at the right time, and he scored goal after goal after goal after goal. Nygren is nowhere near the standard of Frank Lampard, but it's that kind of thing in my head where he doesn't seem to be really good at anything except for turning up in the right place at the right time and firing the ball into the net, and that's not the worst skill to have on your locker.
That is the exact names in my head. As you were rattling it off, I was thinking when Terry comes back to me here, I'm going to throw that comparison in there, but you've literally done it. But also at the same time, it's like we're not saying for a second, both of us, that Benjamin Nygren is the same level as Abba, because people will take that out of context that we're trying to say. But I get what you mean. He's exactly that, a midfielder who just knows where to be, right place, right time. He anticipates where the ball's going to be. He makes the right runs. He finds the pockets of space and anticipates that second ball. So yeah, he's definitely in that mould, no doubt about it. And yeah, today, again, just a great run into the box and some finish. As I say, a huge relief. I think somebody in the comments said that's what it was when that went in, say the noise in the stadium. It was a proper, a great goal, brilliant celebrations in the stadium, because it's a big relief. And to say the 15 minutes before, we've just found out that Rangers have dropped points, so that adds to it and all, where it's like, right, we know what we need to do now. The mission is very clear today, and it was a great moment when he scored that goal today.
Okay, Phil. Rest of the game for me seemed to sort of play out without any real angst or concern. Want to touch on one player today. As I said earlier on, been really solid since he's came into the side. Again, he was one of those ones when you seen the link, I certainly looked at it with a bit of scorn. Had played 60 minutes, 70 minutes of football all season, had got sent off in that one appearance. But this lad has come in and he seems to be doing okay for me. He's an obvious upgrade on Ralston and Donovan. Caveat, Donovan has stacks of potential that I think could be unearthed at Celtic, and hopefully so. But this lad has come in and he's been solid. I've been worried about him a little bit. That I suppose it was that game at Celtic Park against Dundee United where he's just absolutely gone in and he's been a bit high on the lad. I think it's far too early to talk about is this somebody that we'd like to see at Celtic long term. But I think at the same time it's also a pretty obvious thing to start thinking about, because he looks like a pretty serious upgrade. I mean, he got Stadium Man of the Match today, and for many people last week, he was the best player for Celtic against Hearts as well. What's your thoughts about him? Too early to even think about next season, or is it not even a conversation? Is he too far out with our reach?
Well, from a fan point of view, it's not too early because we're fans. That's what we do.
Yeah, we can do what we want.
Yeah, we can do what we want. But yeah, I would be looking to make those inquiries because he's proved that he's a decent addition. It's always typical that when Celtic do these deals where they don't have an option to buy on the loan player usually ends up being pretty good. Look at Sarachi as well on the other side. Sadly, he's been blighted with injury, but when he's been playing, he's been one of the better signings this season. But yeah, he's done fine, Araujo. without being like massively outstanding. But again, look at what we've had to put up with this season. You know, with Johnston getting that injury and then coming back and getting injured again, Tony Ralston he's done. You know, and much as people, there's still folk out there that will still stick up for him or not. And yeah, he'll always give his all, but sadly his all just isn't the level that Celtic need now. Donovan, I do think there is a player in there. I think in the circumstances he's done very well when he's played, especially in European nights. Donovan's actually been pretty good for most of the European ones. Away games in Europe too, where he hasn't looked out of place, where you think a young lad like that might be a bit daunted, but he's been fine. So there's a player to develop there. So if Johnston's back, obviously from injury before the end of the season, Araujo obviously will be here. You know, that's a good like two options there. But next season, if we can, and again, it's all going to come down to this whole manager situation. Who's going to be the manager? We don't know yet. The manager might already be in the building. I saw a comment earlier on saying about giving Neil another year. I've said it enough times now about my feeling about Sean Maloney could be the Celtic manager next season. Watch this space. But I think this is one of the things that doesn't stand up with me, this argument, Terry, that people are talking about. They're not going to commit to signing too many players because the new manager that comes in might not like him. See if they're a good enough player, then the new manager's going to adapt to them and say, this is a quality player. Look at when Martin Neal took over the first time. Look at when Martin Neal took over way back in 2001. The only big exit was Mark Viduka, who, let's be honest, was a quality player as well. But, you know, Viduka had decided he wanted to go, let him go, and obviously he brought in Chris Sutton with that money. But look at the rest of the team that Martin Neal picked up back then. You know, if you've got good players, then a new manager isn't going to have too much problems with... he's not going to want to rip the entire thing up. So a guy like Araujo, I would be making the inquiries right now, mate. I would. But I know, as I said earlier on, it's a challenge from Mr. Nicholson to pick up that phone, as we know.
I don't see it. I don't see it personally, Phil. I don't see it because I think it's probably going to take probably somewhere between 5 and 8 million if you wanted to make that happen with high wages for a right back when you'll have Alistair Johnson back. Now, if you're a big team, if you're a big club wanting to do big club things and you've got Alistair Johnson and Julian Araujo and Colby Donovan as your third one, that's right back completely sort of nailed down.
Yep.
But we ain't going to do that. We're not going to spend 5 to 8 on a right back and give him the kind of wages that he'd be looking for. We're just not going to do it. We won't do it for a centre forward. We're not going to do it for a potential rotation right back. I don't see it. But if you were a big club wanting to do big club things, then yes. Stephen Kennedy. I don't know which name you want me to say again. I don't even know what to say.
It's Araujo. That's how it's pronounced.
Araujo.
The J is pronounced like an H, basically.
Listen, I'm going to butcher a few more here before this is over. But where was it going after that, Phil? Araujo, right back. I think that probably takes us into transfer type stuff.
What do you do? Here we go.
Yeah. Do you know what? See, to be honest, Phil, see the way I feel right now. I feel like switching my phone off and not turning it on again until Tuesday at the absolute earliest. I'm just getting really, really frustrated and wound up. Day 32 of the transfer window, and we are still scratching about, scraping at the bottom of barrels that everyone else has pilfered through, and what's left in there are the absolute dregs of the football society. Guys that nobody else wants, nobody wants to touch, damaged goods, guys that haven't played, guys that have played are shite. It's really annoying. Now, we got a little bit of a dream moment last week where we were linked with a guy who was actually doing quite well in the Champions League, and that was Casper Ho. Now, I'm going to go back to 1997, 29 years ago, if my arithmetic is right, and there was a certain guy called Harold Bratback who took the Champions League by storm. He scored a goal against Real Madrid in a 2-0 victory for Rosenborg, who are from the same country as Bodo Glimt. It's a very, very similar story. Small Norwegian team doing big things in the Champions League. Star striker scores against European powerhouse, and Celtic just go in there lightning quick, £2 million, get the job done, sign Harold Brattbakk. Whatever you think about Harold Brattback's time at Celtic, that was the right way to do business. And that was something that we could do 29 years ago. We got a little sniff of something similar happening last week. It seems to have completely fizzled out.
Mm-hmm.
Why can we not be as good as we were 29 years ago? Because £2 million 29 years ago, for me, is about £8 million nowadays.
Yep.
But we just want to keep paying £2 million nowadays as if we're still 30 years ago. And people keep balking at these transfer fees. Like, people are saying about 7 million for Kieran Bowyer and how it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's a little bit high for a guy that doesn't have great numbers. But Celtic signed Scott Brown how long ago for 4.5?
2007
player. And 4.5 then translated to now is probably about 11 or 12. And if you're getting him for Hibs' best player and you're getting him for 7 million, that's just where we're at with inflation. And I can't find any kind of contentment with how Celtic are dealing in transfers 30 years down the line. They're trying to get people who were doing the same things then. We're trying to get them for the same money as we were doing 30 years ago. And we don't seem to be prepared at any stage to do any deal where we don't think we're getting the upper hand. It's like a guy going round the car boot sales, bartering with people and bargaining and negotiating, and he's a miserable Tam Mullen, and he won't do any deal unless he feels he's getting the best of it. And sometimes you just have to go, pay the going rate, pay a premium on top because it's somebody you want, and we just will not do it. Now, I've rabbited it on there, but that deal has gone completely quiet, probably because he seems to be quite a good player and his team want a fee. Then we had Martin Reid's press conference. Was it after the Thursday game or before the Thursday game where he was asked about the two wingers? And
before
he said,
after the Thursday game, because the actual presser for today's game, Sean Maloney took that, but it was an interview right after the Utrecht game.
So
he said that.
I think it was Mick Gannon asked him about the two wingers and he named them. So keep me right here. It was the lad from Frosinone and the lad from Donetsk Strata. Those two were the names. Mick Gannon named them, and Martin O'Neill said, you wouldn't be too far away. Yeah. And then Maloney was asked, and he kind of intimated that the deal for the French-Algerian from Frosinone was very, very close. Mm-hmm. But I still felt that it was those two guys. Now, within less than 48 hours, we now seem to not be in for those two players, both of whom looked quite good to me in the limited stuff that I'd seen. They've got good numbers. They were like a goal contribution every 2 games. And they were both going to be in and around somewhere between £4 and £7 million mark, either one of them. I thought they looked very, very similar players. I thought they looked like a carbon copy of Nicholas Kuhn, very pacey, very left-footed, coming in from the right, creating chances, getting shots away. Look good, look positive. First time in this window, I looked at a player and thought, yeah, do you know what? I'll be up for a bit of that. Then Martin O'Neill thinks that's going to get done, one of them. But now it seems that we've moved on to somebody else for that position who's available for about half of that, whose stats are completely uninspiring. The winger is called Joel Vuka.
It's on the MVUKA, so I'm going to guess that the M is silent. It's probably VUCA I'm going to go for. Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
So his stats read absolute shite.
Mm-hmm.
Then instead of the Champions League striker who has scored against Manchester City and Atletico Madrid in his last 2 games to fire his team to the last 16, it now looks like we're going to get Junior Adamu from Freiburg, who has scored on average 1 goal in every 10 games. I'm going to go out there and I hope I'm wrong. I hope it get cut up. I hope it get put all over the place. These 2 players are shite. I'm going there without even looking at them. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they come in. I hope they rip it up, Phil. I hope they ram those words down my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to go out there without seeing them play, and I'm going to tell you these 2 guys are shite.
It's hard to disagree because VUCA, we'll go for 4 million they're talking, and you're looking at Motherwell making noise about they want 4 million for Maswanise, and it's like, here's a guy that scored 17 goals this season in the Scottish Premiership, whatever it is. He's technically right on our doorstep. I said earlier on, Motherwell have made it clear that they want a centre-back. Maybe we can help them out in that one. I wonder if we could possibly do something for them there. But yeah, we seem to have changed tack. I mean, Gediemis, who was obviously the one that plays for Frosinone, when I looked them up, and because I do take a wee bit of interest in Italian football for going back years, and Frosinone are a team that I think they've had a couple of stints in Serie A, but they are most of Serie B team. Turns out they're actually top of Serie B this season, so they are like the top team in that division, and he's been one of the best players. So when I saw
Monza are back down in that league. They were big spenders. Yeah.
Big spenders. So he's obviously one of the star players. I thought, okay, I'm actually quite intrigued by this. And then of course the stories start developing. You hear that Celtic are looking at maybe a deal up to 6.5 million, which then was a red flag to me, because I'm like, hold on, we've went from being afraid to spend to potentially do 6.5 million, and shock horror today, Anthony Joseph's tweeting things like Celtic are stalling on the deal because they don't like the structure of the payments, and they want money. They've changed tack, this guy VUCA, and the thing is, I think he played for Bodo Glimt before he played for Lorient, so I don't know if he encountered us 3 years ago when we played Bodo in the Conference League. I don't know if we encountered them then, because that's when Bodo were starting to get a bit of momentum behind them. That was the season that they also beat Roma 6-1 in the group stages, and people were starting to take notice of this team and their manager, and obviously they've just went from strength to strength. So I don't know if the boy encountered us then or whatever, but either way, since he's joined Lorient this season, it's 15 games, no goal assists, no goals scored, and it's like, yeah, it's not good. And funny enough, at the start of the window, we were linked with a striker from Lorient who had 1 goal in 16 games, and it's like, what is going on here? We're just so yeah, we're making up for that with the signing the boy from Freiburg. I'm the same as you. I hope it all works out. We do need bodies because our team is threadbare, but Martin O'Neill has been putting out the same line that Brendan Rodgers was doing at the start of the season, where it's not just about getting people in, it's about the quality, which begs the question, what are they getting recommended? Because Martin O'Neill has made a bit of noise already in the last week or so about he's knocked back a few players that he's been presented to him. And it's like, how many players has been knocked back to the point that we're now at the stage where I will take him, though, with the numbers he's got? Yeah. It does reek of desperation. And we go back to, again, was it the AGM? Or was it? No, it was the infamous meeting with the collective where they had the minutes and where Michael Nicholson was asked, why does Brendan Rodgers keep referring to club signings? To which he just shrugged his shoulders. And it's like Martin O'Neill has said, I've knocked back a load of players because they're not the quality we're looking for. These players that we're hearing about tonight, you look at their CV, are they the quality we're looking for? Or are these club signings, Michael Nicholson? That's the question I've got for him tonight.
Phil, you've stolen my script here. So Martin O'Neill talked about the amount of players that were being presented to him, and he wasn't interested in numbers. He was interested in quality. Sean Maloney backed that up the other day. A lot of work's been done. Everybody's working really hard. There's no point in just bringing in numbers. We need quality. And then we go, and the players that are currently in Glasgow or en route to Glasgow to complete medicals. They just look so far removed from what we need. I just don't understand. I just don't get it at all. Sitting here right now, with the business we've done, I think the league's going to be very difficult now. And I've only started to think this in the last 10 days or so. And I'm thinking it because of the window that we've had. Unless things change dramatically tomorrow, I think we're seriously up against it because of what we've done in terms of business. Araujo's fine. Svanchara looks okay to me, but we need another 3 to just walk into that team and be upgrades. And the club just are not prepared to do it. Now, if I was able to sign 3 players tomorrow that I think could help us get this job done this season, I would be going and getting Maswanisi from Motherwell.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's a no-brainer. I think 4 million would get it done. Mm-hmm. It might be a little bit overpriced. It might not. I don't care. If it's 4 million, it's 4 million. Go and pay it and get it done. You're about to pay 3 million for a striker who couldn't kick his own arse and scores 1 goal in every 10 games, but you won't pay it. You won't pay 4 million for a guy that's in the SPL already and has scored better than 1 and 2 in the league that you're in. I just do not understand the snobbery there. I just don't get it at all. It's an absolute no-brainer. Just go and get it done. Then, if the guy from Frosinone is the top winger target, I don't care about the structure of the deal. You know the fee before it gets to the advanced chat or conversation. You know the fee. If we're now concerned about the structure of the fee, just go and pay the fee. Just go and pay it. If it's 6 million, just go and pay it. You've got 80 million in the bank. Just go send. It's very easy. Internet banking. Nick, log in. 6 million. Put it across. You hear the beep. Couple of seconds, it's gone. What is the problem? If he's the guy, get the money sent across. Get him. Masmanise, and you need a centre back. You need a centre back that puts Austin Trusty or Liam Scales onto the bench. The only one that's been mentioned that still seems realistic or still seems available is what's his name? Jimmy Lawrence. Just go and get it done. Whatever it is. I think he's out of contract in the summer. Whatever it is. If he's worth 1 million and they want 3, pay it. Just pay it. Go and get it done. Get a centre back who comes in, puts one of those 2 out. Get the guy who's ripping up your own league and get your first choice winger. Just go and do it and stop dicking about, messing about, going for strikers who don't score goals. I had a bit of fun today with Steve-O from the Celtic World Order, just when some of these rumours were going about. And I asked him, and I'll give him credit for this, I asked him, what filters do we put on the database / spreadsheet when we are looking for a striker? Because look at the ones we've been mentioned with, other than the Bodo Glimt guy. Look at all these guys who are no use, don't score, don't assist, have fallen out with their teammates, have fallen out with their club, have been training with the kids. There's something wrong with every single one of them. And Steve came back and he said, here are the current filters on the Celtic database. Young, cheap, allergic to scoring, hate getting assists, play for a shite team, and play in a shite league. And that is pretty much it. If you look across all of these guys that we've been linked with, there is so many things wrong with every single one of them. We are on the wrong spreadsheet, or we have got the wrong filters on that spreadsheet. To me, it's very, very simple. 3 players tomorrow. Maswanise, the winger from Frosinone, and a centre-back, Jimmy Lawrence. Go and get it done. The 3 of them, whatever it costs. If you have to pay 3 million extra for each of them, we're in a crisis. I keep saying the same things. We're in a crisis.
We are. Again, we have to apply logic here, Terry. I know we shouldn't because we're fans, but if this board love money, as they do, it makes all the sense in the world to win the goddamn league and get into the Champions League. And it's like you're literally sabotaging yourself with the way that you perform. We advertise very publicly how much money we've got. and seem completely unable to negotiate a deal and spend it, it must surely be a drop in the ocean if they say they want 6 million for a player and we're haggling to get out 4 million or 3 million, whatever. Celtic are obviously trying to maximise their profits and thinking about, when we take them and then we sell them to the next team, we want to maximise our profits, so we need to get money. But they need to think about the now, right? Just speculate to accumulate. Right now, we are in a fight now. Obviously, the league title race. I think what we saw this weekend and even last weekend as well, with the 3 teams now that are in it, I think it's going to be like this for the end of the season. This is going to go all the way, and I think all 3 teams are going to be in the fight right until the post-split fixtures. I think you're going to get these weekends where Celtic and Hearts this weekend have been the beneficiaries of Rangers dropping points. Last week, Rangers benefited from Hearts and Celtic cancelling each other out. Midweek, we've got a programme of games. We're up at Aberdeen. I believe Hearts are playing St Mirren. Rangers have got Killie. Obviously, Rangers have got to play Hearts between now and the end of this month. Hearts have got an Edinburgh derby as well. I think we're going to get these weekends, but it's just going to be just touch and go, where Hearts will drop points, Rangers will drop points, Celtic will drop points as well. And there'll be one team that will benefit, make a little bit of ground, and then another one loses it. I can't see right now any team like pulling away into like a double figures lead. I think it's going to be touch and go now. And so we are deep in a fight here. And it's like we have once again put ourselves in a position where we're going into the last day of the transfer window, the notoriously hard January window that we're told about as well, despite the fact that Rangers just last week unveiled 3 players in the one night together. It's a hard window to do deals, you know. And here we are again, scrambling
including prime Lionel Messi, by the way.
Apparently so, yeah. I know. I've seen some people saying that in the chat that he was he flattered to deceive today, apparently. And I've even seen some Rangers fans on Twitter obviously writing him off already. So Eddie, it's still signing though. At least they're going out and they're getting things done. They've identified we need this position. They're going and doing it. And regardless of the Celtic board giving it but we're sacking Wilfred Nancy, it put us on the back foot. The problems that were there under Wilfred Nancy are still very much there. You know, they knew what the problems were going into the window. We needed a striker. Martin O'Neill told you that in October and November when he had the caretaker job the first time around. He said that this team needs an out-and-out striker. And we got Van Chara in, obviously, last week, but he's only played, not played that much football since about October, November. Will he turn out being good? I said today he's obviously got his goal. He played okay last week and got an assist, but you know, we're setting ourselves up here. And I've said this before on the show. I just hope that come the end of the season, if we don't do this, I say there's a very good chance that we don't. I say it's going to be a fight to the end. We're going to look back on December, just that month of December, the absolute madness that we caused with the Wilfred Nancy appointment is going to be the thing that cost us. But right now, there is still a chance that we can recover this. But we've put ourselves in a position where we've now got 24 hours, just over 24 hours, to ensure we get all the bodies in. And then it doesn't end there because we go to Pittodrie on Wednesday night. It's not even like our players will come in on Monday. They've got a full week of training. And then we go to the Dundee game, Scottish Cup game next week. And that's a good start for them. No. We're right into a game up at Aberdeen. And I know Aberdeen have been honking this season, right? But Pittodrie on a Wednesday night in February, it sounds like difficult conditions to me with the way this team's playing at times. So it's not made it any easier for ourselves. And yeah, we're now relying on bringing people in at the last minute, and we need to go up to and play a massive game on Wednesday night and make sure we get the points because we cannot afford to be dropping points right now. We have to just keep finding ways to win.
Phil, I know you've picked out the Wilfred Nancy era, if you can call it.
Era, yeah, that's one way.
But and if this season doesn't go our way, and there's every chance that it won't go our way, that will be the period that everyone points to where it all went wrong. I think it's a bit deeper than that because the root cause of what happened was the failed transfer window, the failure to back Brendan Rodgers, the breakdown in relationship with Brendan Rodgers that ended up with his enforced resignation. They then bring in Martin O'Neill, who turns the dip around. They then ditch Martin O'Neill and bring in Wilfred Nancy. He then ballses the whole thing up. They then get rid of him and fix it again for a second time by bringing in Martin O'Neill, and then completely stitch him up in the transfer market, albeit with 24 hours to go. That's 3 managers they failed inside about 2.5 months. And Nancy will get the blame for the whole thing, but he's just a symptom of the illness that has been rotten through the club. But anyway, I want to just cover a couple more things here before I let you go.
Can I just add one thing there, just again, going back to the board? I saw a comment earlier on. Now, at the top of the show, I talked about the rousing rendition of Stand Up If You Hate the Board today. I think I saw somebody in the chat saying that Nicholson and Mackay weren't at the game today. Now, I've not seen any pictures, but the executive seats did look quite sparse. There is a video doing the rounds of a camera focused on the executive box seats, and it did look quite empty. Maybe Nick was away making all those important phone calls. Maybe he was away doing his job.
They're working on deals round the clock.
On deals, mate, round the clock.
They're in the back room. They're in the black room, or the back room, bleeding Celtic. Maybe they are working on deals for freebies and loans.
I think it was Stephen Kennedy that said it, but yeah, apparently they weren't there, so they didn't. I hope wherever they were, they could hear the tones of the Celtic fans making their voices very clear, very loud. So I say it was about 95% of the stadium were on their feet and definitely letting them know how they felt.
So somebody put a comment up there that said, Maswanese, the winger from Frosinone, or Frosinone, whatever you frig you call him. See if you brought those 3 in. I think it's a game changer in terms of the league and a proper centre back. I think that then makes us favourites, but that ain't going to happen. So, a couple of things, Phil. I think we'll lose someone tomorrow.
Yeah,
I think someone will leave. The kind of names that have been mentioned as possible guys leaving: Arnie Engels, Rio Hatate, Austin Trusty, and I still have a sneaky feeling that Yang could go as well. Do you see anyone leaving tomorrow? Do you think it could be a day that appears to be busy? There could be deals already done. They're maybe just going to play it in such a way that they throw us a few players and then we get a feel-good factor and then they just slip in and exit along the line, like the old feedback or the old feedback sandwich where you give a bit of good news, you throw in a wee bit of bad news and you finish it with a good news story again. Do you see somebody gone? And if so, who do you think that could be?
Oh, I don't think anybody in the first team will leave, and it's only down to the fact that we are threadbare right now. I think in other circumstances, I think we would, this board would pounce on it. The talk of 14 million for Arnie Engels and 18 months on from him coming in. Has he really pushed on? And a lot of fans are still sticking by him and saying he's one of our best players. I don't see it. I just don't see it at all. He has a couple of flashes here.
So why do you not take 14 for him then?
Oh, I would not. I would, but I just think with the circumstances that we're in, I think any other time we jump on that, and it makes all the sense because he hasn't really pushed on. We've been making a profit, and that's what this board love. But see, right now, just with the state that the squad's in, and that, of course, has been caused by the people above. We're not investing properly with squad depth because we've had an injury crisis this season, and some of the players that are coming in to cover are just not up to scratch. But again, that just goes back to the last window and the window before that. I think there might be another bid. There is a lot of noise at Nottingham Forest are going to come back in again. What you get, though, is these issues where we saw with Maeda this season. There was clearly a move for him in the summer that never went that way. And look at him this season. He has been a shadow of what he was last season. Engels, if there's a chance to go to a Premier League team, as I know Nottingham Forest are sort of flirting with relegation just now, I think they'll probably be okay. But again, it's like, is he going to want to take that leap? What do you do there? Do you keep a player that wants to leave? But we're in a situation where, similar to Maeda in the summer, where we can't let you go because we haven't done the necessary business to cover these positions because our board are rank amateurs at this negotiation business. So I think there will be a bid somewhere for one of those players like Engels or maybe Maeda. There'll be something for Maeda again, but I just don't think we'll let them go. And it's only just because we have caused the problem ourselves, and it's going to be a case of you're going to have to stay because we haven't done enough to cover it. And then you've got a player that's going to probably phone it in for the rest of the season because they want away and they've been denied that chance to go and play at a better league. So that's where I'm at the moment with that one.
Just looking for a comment here. Yes, this one. I think the likes of Nottingham Forest, if they have, and it's a big if, obviously, if they've come in with 14, they're not going to be going up in 500,000. So that 14 will go 17, 20, something like that. But I think if anything comes in north of 17, I don't think our board will care where we're at. I think they'll accept anything north of 17. I think you would have to be honest. And as long as we get other players coming in, I don't trust them, Phil. I think there'll be a first teamer go tomorrow. I think there'll be somebody who is in our normal starting 11 who will go. I think they'll slip it in. I think there'll be a couple announced. These two dickheads that are doing medicals tonight, they'll get rolled out.
Yeah.
I know. I'm being a dickhead. They could turn out to be brilliant for us. I'm just not having it. I'm just not having strikers that score one goal in every 10 games. I'm sorry, I'm not having it. I don't care. But these two guys will get announced early morning. Then I think we could slip in the likes of an Engels, a Tannadice, a Hatate, somebody on the way out, and then we'll absolutely salvage it in the evening time with a couple of loans from some unknown league.
Using Engels as the example, right? Because as much as Engels is flattered to deceive in a Celtic shirt, right, he probably has a lot of appeal to teams in the big European leagues because he is still young. He has played in the Bundesliga. He's got some caps for Belgium, and I'm sure there'll be XG spreadsheets somewhere, football analytics spreadsheets somewhere that scouts will have him on a report that he is a player to keep an eye on. But if a Premier League team like Forest come in and they're bidding for him, is it worth us saying to them, right, money and give us one of your players on loan or something like that, Dane? Because we need to cover that position. It needs to, regardless of how mediocre Engels has been at times, and fans can make a very valid case. If you take him out the team, would it make a massive difference? It still is a body that will need covered. Is it something like that? We go back and negotiate with them and say, right, give us this chunk of money and we want a player as well, because they're 11th hour now. You know, it's like for them to have, I mean, I saw the name Mulligan coming up there, the Hibs midfielder. Are Hibs going to want to sell it? That's what they've just lost, Kieran Bowie. And Josh Mulligan's one of their best players as well. Are they going to want to lose Bowie and Mulligan in a matter of days? It's like, I don't know. I mean, Mulligan seems to be one of the better players outside of the big teams in Scotland, where you're like, okay, he looks like he could be a talent. But I don't think at this stage Hibs are going to be wanting to sell him. But it's a decent shout. But we've left it too late again.
Sugar man, I do apologise. If the guy's signed for Celtic, I am going to get right behind him as always. I'm just so underwhelmed when I see some of the links that we have, and then it seems the ones that we end up getting after Martin O'Neill, who I trust, and he comes out and goes, "We're looking for quality. We're not interested in numbers," and then the guys that we seem to be getting with 24 hours to go, our striker with a 1 in 10 record. My goodness. Mm-hmm. When we've got a guy in our own doorstep with better than 1 and 2, he's nearly 2 and 3 record. I just don't get it. But do you know what? Who am I? I'm just some dickhead sitting in a pod. See, when these guys come in, that guy could score a hat-trick next week, and I'll be sitting here singing his name on the show. Phil, you mentioned there's no respite. Midweek, we're midweek for the foreseeable. It's Aberdeen.
Livingston next midweek. Yeah.
The fact we get through in Europe means we've got midweek when nobody else in the SPL has got those fixtures. Not even Coefficient FC. They do not have any more European games, so it's down to us to boost that coefficient for Scotland. We'll worry about that when we get to it. I used to do a wee segment where we looked at the next 5 games. I don't see any point in looking 5 games ahead. I think we are now on a game by game basis. Yeah. Rubber duck. Aberdeen. That's as far as I'm looking. You've said yourself there, not in great form. Temporary manager in. Horrible result yesterday. They did have one big result there where they scored 6. It's all set up. It's all set up for a pretty straightforward evening, but Celtic at the minute just don't do straightforward evenings, and we'll go there on Wednesday night, as you say, away game during the week. We need to get the job done. Obviously, I do fancy us to get the 3 points, but I don't think it's just a case of turn up and it'll be clean sailing. We will have to work so hard, and you've got to hope that there's a little bit of reinforcement in tomorrow, a bit of quality, somebody that can come in and make that difference.
Yeah. Trusty will be back. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it'll be better than Dane Murray, I suppose. But he'll be in the team. Obviously, but there is people definitely going to be arriving, whether they are thrown in right away, but we're in a position where they may just have to be. You know, Van Chara was thrown in last week against Hearts, and he did fine for the 60 minutes. It may just be a case we've got to do that because, we are running on fumes at times now. And the thing is, under Martin O'Neill, no doubt he's obviously turned it around in terms of results, but the away games have always been a bit turgid. The home games have always been that bit better. But an away game, Aberdeen, say the conditions, it's going to be cold, horrible. It's always a bad position. Pataudry's in with the way the wind comes in off the sea. So it's all set up to be one of those ones. If the players don't fancy it from the off, it could be an awkward night. Aberdeen, they've been dreadful this season. I know their manager. We know where his allegiances lie. He's very, very, very passionate in his hatred towards us, put it that way. So he'll have them fired up, no doubt about it. He'll want to get a result against us to try and help out his pals and Govan. So we're going to have to rise to the occasion. If it's a stodgy 1-0 and we have to grind it out like we did at Falkirk a couple of weeks ago, so be it. It's all about just winning at all costs right now. We'd all love Terry to turn up and just batter teams. We would absolutely love it. No, just rest easy. Even through the week there, Thursday night, we're 3-0 up inside 20 minutes and we still made it awkward for ourselves. You know, we still managed to do that. We would just love to turn up and be 3-0 up again on Wednesday night and just cruise to victory. But it's going to be tough. They all make it difficult. But yeah, I agree with you though. We're more than capable of winning it. We just need to make sure we don't make any silly mistakes, because that is the thing. I always feel that this season, when we have lost goals and dropped points, it's not a case of the other team that we've played has been outstanding. It's just down to us with absolute clown antics at times at the back. Some of the mistakes that we make, giving away penalties, free kicks, whatever it be. We just bring it on ourselves. So we just have to be resolute at the back, make sure we clear our lines, don't take too many risks at the back and whatnot, and just when a chance does present itself on Wednesday night, got to pounce on it.
Hearts play before us, Phil. They play on Tuesday. They're away to St Mirren. It might just be me, but it feels like St Mirren are on the biggest hangover of hangovers from they beat us in the cup final. I don't even know if they've won a game since then. And I said the other day,
Wilfred Nancy effect in food.
I said the other day that Dundee United away and St Mirren away, these are the types of games that we need Hearts to slip up in. And we're talking there that we're 6 points behind. Mm-hmm. For me, that's effectively 7 now, because the goal difference is 8. That's going to be hard to try and bridge that goal difference. There's a scenario here, Phil, where at some point we're going to have to want Rangers to win a match of football here to try and.
I was going to ask you in a few weeks, Hearts are going to Ibrox, but I know we don't want to think too far ahead. But we're going to be in a scenario there where I don't even know what the best results. Obviously, there's a lot to go between them. St Mirren in their own right can be tricky. Hearts have got an Edinburgh derby as well.
They'll probably be down to 10 men after 2 minutes. The way things are going for Hearts at the minute.
And see, they've got an Edinburgh derby coming up. Rangers have got to go to Motherwell. We know how well they've been playing this season. But when that Hearts and Rangers game rolls around in a few weeks' time, it's like, what are we going to want from our point of view at that stage? It's a scary thought. But yeah. I don't know, I guess a draw would probably appease us in a way. But we just need to keep doing our thing. If we keep winning, then it's for us to lose. Essentially, we just need to keep on making sure we getting the wins. Because I say earlier on, we're going to have weekends like this weekend for the rest of the season where all three teams can't just keep winning. There's going to have to be teams dropping points, and the one team will benefit, the other two might drop points, or two teams will benefit from one dropping. I genuinely feel this is going to go right down to the post-split fixtures, and it's not something we're used to, Terry, because we've had it our own way for quite a while now, where we've won the league pretty comfortably, but we're in the trenches this season, mate.
What you're going to have is you're going to have really uncomfortable situations where Celtic fans want Rangers to win a game. Rangers fans want Celtic to win a game. Hearts fans want Hibs to win a game. This is all happening, and I don't want to look too far ahead, but I think there could possibly be a problem post-split. I haven't looked into it. I'm not going to look into it. It's too far down the future. I'm going game by game. But I just have a feeling in previous years, it was reasonably straightforward to work it out because Celtic were pretty clear, and all you had to do was make sure there was no accusation of preferential treatment for either Celtic or Rangers. You're now going to have a third player in that, and I think that's going to cause a problem. I think there's going to be a problem when it comes to the post-split fixtures with home and away matches against the teams that end up in the top six. I think that's going to play out. It's too early to start thinking about it now, but I think there's going to be problems there, and I think there's going to be a lot of controversy. I just hope we're still in the mix when it gets to the split. That's where I'm at now. I want us to be in there with the... See, if we go into the split, Phil, and we need to win the 5 games to win the league post-split, see, right now, I'd settle for that. I'd take that right now. If we go to the split and we need to win those 5 to win the league, I would accept that right now. I've taken a lot of your time. I want to cover 2 wee quick things from yesterday.
Sure, go ahead.
Watched the Hearts game. I sat down and watched it until the Dundee United player gets sent off. I have never seen a worse red card in my decision. The guy's in possession of the ball. He takes a heavy touch and he goes to correct it. And see, it goes back to that re-ref in the game. The referee is beside it. He's seen it in real time. He knows what it is. He can see sometimes it's the noise of a tackle lets you know the intensity or the danger. And the VAR can't get that. There's no sound on that. You slow everything down and it looks worse. See, the referee has seen that. Same as so many incidents. The referee got the best view because he's there in real time with the sound. He can measure the intensity. He can measure the intent. He can do all of that, all those things that somebody watching a video just cannot do. And then you've somebody else coming round behind and re-refereeing the game. And I don't want to get into the situation when we're looking back at Hearts games, but it was an awful decision, an absolutely awful decision, which just gifted them another 3 points. But there's going to be so many of them between now and the end of the season. There's going to be some that go for us. There's going to be plenty that go against us. Yeah. But one thing I did pick up on, and I tried to wonder what this could look like in a Celtic world. There was about a 10-minute spell where the Hearts fans sang the name of Tony Bloom. Can you imagine a scenario where the Celtic fans are singing the name of Dermot Desmond or McNick or somebody who's involved in the running of our club? Can you actually imagine that? And you look and you think about Celtic talk about this word unity. I just looked at that and I thought the fans are singing the name of the guy that's invested quite a bit of money in them. Could you ever imagine that happening at Celtic?
Mate, it's happening every week at Celtic, but unfortunately for the board, it's usually before and after. It's usually Michael with the one followed by it. So they are singing it in unity. The Celtic fans are united in their way. Aye, we are singing it every week.
You're right. There's just expletives before and after every single one of their names.
But fair play to say Hearts. This Tony Bloom came in the summer, invested in them, made a lot of noise about them challenging for the title in 10 years, and a lot of fans, I was included, scoffed at it like, nah. Here they are, a year into their grand plan, their 10-year plan, and they're genuinely in a great position to go and win it. And they're not like Aberdeen last season. They're not going anywhere. They're too far into it now. I don't see Hearts falling away. And as I say, it's going to be a three-way race, I think, all the way to the end. And I just hope that our players have got the stomach for it. And now the dynamic changes going into next season, because the Celtic board have always had the mentality, as long as we're a wee bit better than Rangers, that's fine. Now we've got to be better than Hearts as well, because I don't think this is going to be a one-season thing. If they go and win the title, and again, they're in a position to do it, it's not going to be a one and done. They'll build on this. They'll try and build from a position of strength, and that means that's 2 teams that Celtic have got to be better than next season. So what does that do for the board's mentality? These are all questions that we'll need to deal with in the future. Hopefully, it's not a case that they do win the title and we can come through and do it. But see, these are things that we do need to consider because it could happen.
Right, Phil, that's nearly an hour and a half, long more than I was intending. Nearly 200.
We always do that, though. We always do that.
So thank you to absolutely everybody who's joined us.
Man.
Anybody who catches up on the old recording, thank you very, very much as well. Give us a like, give us a share on your way out. Possibility that Phil and David will be on tomorrow night. I'd imagine it'll be quite busy across Pod World, but just pray. Let's just hope beyond hope that Celtic, for once, just do something decent tomorrow and sign a footballer who can play football at a reasonably good level. I think if we do that, I'll be happy enough. We can just sign a footballer that's reasonably good at football.
We're not asking for much. It's the bare minimum we're asking for here. Come on.
Just a footballer that's reasonably good. I would take that. That's what I've been reduced to, Phil. Absolutely. Right, Phil, hit the old outro there. Everybody, I'll be back on Wednesday night, hopefully talking about another 3 points. Thank you so much. See you soon.
Right, see you guys. Cheers.